One of the most powerful things I recently read was to only care about how your 8-year-old and your 80-year-old self perceive you. It was such a bar because I just thought about all of the people that I've kind of like added to this imaginary audience in my head. Anytime I make a decision, anytime I make a video, anytime I do something that feels a little bit uncomfortable, I would constantly have all of these people in my head kind of imagining how they would be judging me, or in many cases, real life people judging me and letting me know how they felt about certain decisions that I was making. And it felt super debilitating as a recovering people pleaser to simultaneously be myself and do what I wanted to do while also trying to make certain people approve of my decisions. So when I read that, it hit so hard because I'm like, man, what would my life look like if I was more afraid of disappointing the 80-year-old version of myself than disappointing the people who are just silently judging me in my life right now? I recorded a video recently about how I've been using this journal in 2024, and it is just so amazing because the prompt that I've been using it for is writing from my future self to my current self, which is something so different than what I've done in the past. I've done a few journals in the past where I wrote to like the 5-year from now version of me, or dear future Rima, and I would just like confide in the older and wiser version of me. But there's just something so special about having the older, wiser version of you actually write to you. So when I sit down and write in this journal, it sounds kind of crazy, but it's kind of how I'm manifesting my life. I just imagine how she would feel about me right now. Again, I did this because it was a manifestation tool, and I thought it would be so cool to read it once everything in my life that I want actually ends up unfolding. That was my intention going in, but I think what I didn't realize that I would also be getting out of that prompt is having someone who I value the most, which is the versions of me I'm going to grow into, make me feel like I'm in alignment, make me feel like I can trust the decisions that I'm making, and give me that assurance that I am making the future versions of me proud. If you're someone who does struggle with people pleasing, if you come from a big family perhaps, and you constantly feel torn between who you want to be and who other people are asking or expecting you to be, I highly recommend trying something like this. It's just so hard to get those voices out of your head if you've been living decades at this point with them in your head. Even if they're not saying things about the things that you're doing today or the things that you're trying. Maybe you're trying a different career path. Maybe you are dating outside of the expectations of who your family thinks you should be with. Even if people aren't directly saying something to you, if you've been ingrained in certain judgments or beliefs or ways of being, your brain kind of starts to project what those people would have to say. And it becomes so difficult for you to remind yourself that you are the one and only expert on your life. Nobody else is an expert on your life. There's nothing wrong. And I'm always a proponent of learning from other people, taking an advice from people whose lives look like how you want your life to look like. Because as someone recently told me, I wouldn't ask for hair advice from someone who's bald. If someone's life does not look like how you want your life to look, you have no business taking advice from them about that area of your life. But I'm all for listening to advice. I'm all for, accepting certain feedback and learning from other people. But at the end of the day, nobody is going to literally live your life but you. And I firmly believe that when that time does come, because it will for all of us, to return to our maker, let's just put it like that, I firmly believe that there will be this like split second moment where we reevaluate how we did our lives. And I genuinely do not want to disappoint that version of myself. Hopefully it isn't, 70 or 80 years from now, because I would like to live a long, healthy, beautiful life. I want to make that version of myself feel proud. I want that older, wiser, seasoned version of myself to look back on this version of myself and feel like, wow, you really were courageous. You followed your dreams. You didn't let people determine who you were going to be. You stood up for what you believed was right, and you didn't allow anybody to influence you in a way that doesn't feel right for you. I'm so scared of letting that version of me down, and I try to channel that day to day in my decision making. I just want this to be a message that can encourage you to trust yourself more. Think about what your younger self would have to say about you. Think about what your way older self would have to say about you. Let those be your guides. Don't take advice from people who have never lived a day in your shoes. Trust yourself to design and carve out a life that is ultimately best for you. I love you so much. And as always, stay powerful, my loves.